Hi everybody, this is Henry Weederman. I'm working on a Husqvarna 455 Rancher, and it would run, and it runs sporadically, and it would not run normally when you adjusted the low setting. It would cut in and out, go up and down. It just wasn't consistent. So what I do with a running, I use parts cleaner, brake cleaner, don't matter, whatever's cheaper for you. And while it's running, I'll spray here on this seal. I'll get it down in here around the clutch side, or I'll pull the clutch side cover down in here, which usually you can get down here in the housing. Nice stem on this little straw on the can will help you. Then I'll check around the base, especially on the 455. And here's why. Right now I got the hose plugged because I cleaned it. We'll get into that. The 455 has this weird carburetor design. It sits in there like that. 3 screws and it comes out. They're 4mm, by the way. Allen head. And you got to get it down in there. You can't put a tool on it. You have to get it down in there, and then you got to use I use a 1/4-inch wrench. Put it on there, and I turned them out, broke them free, and turned it out. It's all rubber. Plastic housing, and pulls the rubber up to the carburetor and up to the top. Well, had a leak around the base. This is pretty stiff, but it's hard to tell if they were not tight enough or it's got a crack in it. You know, you can look all day long. I cleaned it up, but we're spraying the brake cleaner down in here around this shield in the carburetor. It choked out. So somewhere on this contraption was a problem. So let's talk about this assembly. So this is how it looks when it's together. When you're taking the carburetor out, there are 4 screws that hold it to this manifold. This goes on there and looks just like that. So you take the 4 screws out. Now the carburetor's free. Over here on the flip side where your throttle arm, you'll see this little blue lever here. You have to lift up on it when you take it off. Real careful, because there's a little hole there with a pin on the back side of this blue lever. And you can see it right there. So you pop that off, then the throttle arm will come out of that holder. That's the throttle arm. Look how gnarly, that's how they bend all that up. It usually sits in there like that, and it'll ride in that little crevice, and this little blue arm locks it in there, keeps it coming out. So you take that out, push it back out of the way. This carriage is attached right here. You gotta be careful you don't snap it off. You undo these 2 little rubber sound mounts holding that front carriage. You'll see a nipple there and a nipple there. It sits down there just like that. So once you get that done, then you're gonna try to get that bottom fuel line off. Comes in through the bottom right there. I'm going to take this whole carburetor carriage out. Here's what the old one looks like. So thinking maybe the old one had problems, probably didn't. It was probably because it had a fuel leak and was giving me a misreading, but it is older, so instead of messing with it, I just got him a new one. But after the new one's in, it still gave adjustment problems on idling, and then when it was hot, hard starting issues, which is right here. So now I want to clean this cavity out so I don't get nothing back in the engine. So what it is, I took a rubber glove, put some air in it, took a tool, and just push it in the 3 ports, and then you can just take and pull it back out. So I put a little bit of air in it. So that worked out pretty good. So that kept it dry. So when I kept the cylinder dry, I was able to clean it out, preparation for the new manifold when it comes in. These run about $25. It is plastic, so you gotta be careful when screwing it back on, you don't over torque it. So you can do that if you can put it back on wrong. You can pull the threads right out of this plastic. So if she gets snug and the bolt stops, that's your cue. I'll do a video of putting this all back together. It looks pretty complicated. It is in a way. So that goes on top of the carburetor. That's your primer ball, pulls it through. That's from your gas tank, and then that's your impulse line right there, which goes on that little nipple there on the collar. See? And that fits down in there just like that. That's how it'll look. So that's a 455 Rancher in a nutshell, waiting on that. And that's where I found the air leak, was down at the bottom right there. So I'll make sure that's all cleaned out, receive the new one. I'll put a tiny amount of sealant on it, just a little bit on the outer edge, just to make sure we get a good seal when I put it back in. Don't want to put too much in there because you don't want to put it into the cylinder. But compression's good. It's about 130, 140. Saw wants to run good. And just It's just telling you that it has an air leak. All right, I hope that helps somebody with this 455 Rancher. Henry the Weed Eater Man out.